Now we're continuing in the Kratom series, and this is a very important video, so stay tuned because I've got a lot to share with you that no one in the Kratom community or out of the Kratom community is even talking about. Stick around. All right, everyone, my name is Adam. I also go by Coach Hard Gains on my Hard Gains platform, which is my coaching platform. I've been coaching bodybuilders and mentoring recovering addicts for a very long time. Not because I started as an addict early on, but because I understood addiction early on. I am the product of recovering alcoholics. My parents met in AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, and my initials are AA, Adam Alexander. And I grew up with the big book and the Bible hand in hand, and I am grateful for that. Now, I have been a daily Kratom user. Yes, I know it's Kratom. I call it Kratom, so get used to it. I have been a daily Kratom user for the past 8 years. I got started because 18 years ago, I blew out my back, just disintegrating my L5S1 disc right away. And over time, as an arborist owning a tree and landscape service, and at swinging a sledgehammer, owning a construction company all at the same time, and raising 6 kids, my back just disintegrated. 8 years ago, I was laid up in bed, and one of my workers, my carpenter, who was a very good friend of mine, he introduced me to Kratom. And he brought over a bottle of capsules of Red Mangda, Red Bali first. And nothing was working. Ibuprofen, I had been taking ibuprofen for like 15 years on a daily basis, but I had always taken it with food or with milk, always. So, I went from 800 milligrams of ibuprofen to 1200 milligrams of ibuprofen 3 times a day. I really did feel more in my intestinal tract. 18 years ago, I lost function of my organs and was given 2 months left to live, and I was on my deathbed. I lost 50 pounds. I was coaching bodybuilders at the time, but I was working as a musician, actor, and model. I lost everything. I literally lost everything. I lost my life. I lost my health. I lost my occupations. I lost everything. So fast forward to 8 years ago, I was laying in bed after blowing my back out at work, and my carpenter brought over a bottle of Red Bali. These were the 00 capsules, and I believe I started with 2. And I felt just this tiny little feeling of euphoria. And then all of a sudden I realized, wow, my pain isn't as bad. And then a few hours later, I took 4, and I felt great. I felt no pain. I felt euphoria. I felt relaxed. I felt like I was hooked up to an IV of Dilaudid. Because I've never drank alcohol. I've tried alcohol once in my life, and I've never drank other than that. I never smoked weed. I never took any other drugs. I didn't smoke cigarettes. So the receptors in my body, and the body is full of receptors, okay? And this is another topic which we can delve deeper into later, but the body is full of receptors, and these receptors receive, they're like parking spots, okay, for different signals to come in and sit. We have a lot of opioid receptors in the body, just like we have nicotine receptors or nicotinic receptors. My opioid receptors were very fresh. I had never taken anything that would saturate or accumulate on my opioid receptors, so they were very fresh. So when I took Kratom, which is not an opioid, let's be clear, Kratom is not an opioid. It activates the opioid receptors. So Kratom attaches to the opioid receptors in the body. A lot of opioid receptors are found in the gut. That is why a lot of people either have benefit of Kratom working on the GI tract or actual adverse effects from Kratom on the GI tract if you don't have GI issues. It will cause GI issues because a lot of the opioid receptors are found in the gut. I guess just as a preface, this video will be all over the place. I am not Andrew Huberman. I love Andrew Huberman, but I am not him, okay? I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scholar. I do have a college education, but I am OCD about my body. I am very, very particular in what goes in my body, and I pay attention to everything. I'm very aware. So we have these opioid receptors, and the first time I took Kratom, that Kratom hit those opioid receptors in a very nice way, okay? Then the next time I took more, hit it even better. The next time I took more, hit it the best. And I sat at about 6 capsules, 6 00 capsules, 3 times a day to manage my pain for a couple years. And that was amazing. It worked wonders. Now, everyone talks about potentiators. I mean, a potentiator is something that activates and increases the effect of what you're consuming. So a potentiator would be like lemon juice or grapefruit juice, which activates the kratom in a different way, and you feel it a little differently, or you feel it more strongly. I never took potentiators. I just didn't know anything about it. I just started taking it. And after a couple years of basically sticking with Red Bali for pain management, I was introduced to Green Meng Da. And Green Meng Da changed my life for better and now for worse. Green Meng Da hits the opioid receptors in a very nice way. It literally gives you a wonderful feeling of euphoria with no crash, with no negative side effects afterwards. It is wonderful. The problem comes into taking kratom every day, multiple times a day. And if you don't know enough about kratom, you're taking the same strain every day, because a lot of brands fill these capsules or the powder with the same amount of mitragynine, which is the alkaloid content found in kratom. Now, there's different alkaloids in kratom. Again, that's for another topic. But kratom was a blessing, okay? But I want to be very clear at this point. Kratom changed my life. It came in as a blessing, okay? It wasn't until years later that it became a curse. But as a blessing, kratom works wonders. It got me out of bed. It got me back to work. It got me playing with my kids. It got me the energy I needed to lessen my caffeine intake. It made me feel motivated through massive amounts of pain. Now, one of the greatest dangers of kratom is actually the oversaturation of the opioid receptors in the body, because kratom continues to build in the system in different ways than pharmaceutical opioids do. Now, at this point, I have a lot of experience with oxy and Dilaudid and certain narcotics. Because of my spinal issues, because I was in a car crash, because of a lot of issues. Also because I have a brain injury from 5 years ago. Also because I have a severe TBI. I got cracked in the skull by one of my Mason body dump trucks. But kratom will affect the neurological system, the GI system. It affects the body in ways that opioids do not. This is why. Synthetic and pharmaceutical made opioids are designed to be selective. Okay, they are selective in what they attach to. Kratom is not selective in what it attaches to, so it can oversaturate through the body. It attaches to many different sites, whereas oxy will only sit and focus on those certain opioid receptors. Kratom will get into the neurological system. It gets deeply into the bones. It gets deeply into the brain. It gets deeply into the neurons. It gets deeply into everything in the body in a cumulative effect, okay? Meaning it just continues to build over time. As that continues to build, obviously the effects wear off and you have to take more. Now, as you increase the dosage, the effects lessen because you're not giving your system a chance to clear out the previous hit, let's say, to these receptors. And you're just building on top of these receptors. Kratom affects the hormones. Okay, I've been bodybuilding for 27 years. I am very, very keen to my hormones. I'm on TRT. I was hit by my dump truck in the pituitary gland. It rocked my pituitary, okay? Now the hypothalamus in the brain sits back here. It signals to the pituitary gland, hey, let's make some hormones. And then it balances those out, and then it goes throughout the body and makes the hormones, maintains the hormones, and balances the body's hormones. My pituitary gland got rocked. So after 23 years of bodybuilding completely and 100% naturally, I decided to go into TRT because I had to at that point. And I knew that because of my brain injury, I would basically be on TRT for the rest of my life. Now, I've been bodybuilding and coaching enhanced bodybuilders, which means bodybuilders on PEDs, steroids. And so I knew a lot about it. I knew a lot about hormones. I knew enough about it to understand what was required of me at that point. Now, I will insert here that I am not a proponent for steroid use, but as a bodybuilder, in this industry, there are times, there are occasions that they are necessary, or that they will become a requirement for your career, okay, to further your career. Now, at this point, I will also insert here that I have a lot of experience with other hormones, other PEDs, okay, performance enhancing drugs. And I receive my hormone therapy prescribed by a clinic. To me, that is very important. Okay, that's a side note. But anybody watching my videos, you know that I'm fully transparent and I have a hard time not providing adequate amount of information for you. So kratom affects the hormones, and it affects the hormones negatively. It will hinder your gains. It will cause you to lose weight. It will cause you to keep weight off. So if that is your main focus in bodybuilding or exercise, it could help you get to your goals a little faster. But through GI issues and diarrhea, that's not a good thing. Now, if you are someone else like me who is called a hard gainer, meaning it is extremely hard to gain weight, as it's been my whole life, kratom is not helpful. It's not beneficial. And kratom is also an appetite suppressor. So it hinders your hunger, okay? So as somebody who needs to eat more to put on weight and to maintain weight and to bulk up, it's not a good thing, okay? So you see where I'm going with this? After 8 years of kratom use, it has greatly hindered my growth as a bodybuilder. And this is why it's so important for people to understand the finer details that no one's talking about, because no one knows. There are some wonderful kratom advocate channels out there. I love Joey Talks. He's wonderful. He's really a good go-to source if you are going to be on kratom for any reason. But daily kratom use is not advised, not at all. And once you feel yourself increasing your doses over and over, you got to stop. You have to take a break. And that's hard, especially for addicts, because it just works so well. And it's just a great feeling. Now, kratom does not get you high. That is very, very wrong. Kratom doesn't get you high. It is psychoactive. It does work on the brain. It will give you feelings of euphoria, much like caffeine does. When you take that first cup of coffee in the morning, you take an energy drink, you feel euphoric because that caffeine source hits your dopamine in a way that artificially increases dopamine. But how many of you really know what happens when you continually artificially hit dopamine? Your body's endogenous production, but your body's endogenous ability to produce dopamine, to have increased dopamine for excitement or anticipation, that goes away. That lessens greatly, guys. So then all of a sudden, you can't get motivated. You have no energy. You don't feel happy until you've had your kratom. And even the anticipation of taking kratom will affect your dopamine. And it's like, ooh, I get to take my kratom in an hour. I'm serious, guys. I know a lot of you can relate to that. And I do believe that anyone taking kratom should know these finer details, okay? Now, kratom can cause secondary hypogonadism, okay? Now, I'm sure that's kind of a foreign term for a lot of you, but hypogonadism is the body's inability to produce hormones properly or effectively. And kratom can induce or create secondary hypogonadism in the body. And that's why kratom affects the hormones. Now, I exogenously bring in testosterone. So my body's not producing it. My body is shut off. I'm 43 years old. I have 6 kids. I'm done. I'm good. I did my part to populate our society. And my kids are good kids. So I'm happy with that. So I'm on TRT, and my body is bringing in exogenous hormones from outside. I still feel kratom hindering my body's ability to effectively absorb or utilize those exogenous hormones. Now, I'll try not to get too entailed on that part of it, but if that topic does interest you, leave a comment and I will continue with the videos on that. Now, kratom was initially found mostly in Thailand, okay? It's a plant. It's a leaf. The workers in Thailand working out in the fields, they would take a leaf, they would crinkle it up, and they'd put it under their lip like dip. And they would just suck on that leaf. 1 leaf, 2 leaves maybe. The amount of mitragina that gets absorbed into the body from those 2 or 3 leaves, let's say, is minimal. Minimal. It's like 0.095 grams of mitragina. We're consuming tablespoons at a time, guys. That's why this is so dangerous. Because any addict can't take 0.095. Because we want more. We want more of that dopamine hit. Because remember, addiction is intertwined with our dopamine. Now, one of the greatest issues with Kratom is withdrawal. And if you are someone who says there's no withdrawal to Kratom, then you've never been taking enough to create withdrawal. So you don't know. Everyone I've spoken to, including myself, has been through hell withdrawing from Kratom. I will tell you, it is worse than withdrawing from OxyContin. Now, I do have another video that I've made on dealing with and handling the withdrawals from Kratom. So I'll put a link up here. Go check that out, or I think it's on that side. But withdrawal from Kratom is a nightmare because Kratom gets absorbed into the whole body. Withdrawal from, let's say, a pharmaceutical narcotic is very selective, just like that narcotic was selective, because you're withdrawing in the areas that substance was affecting. Kratom, because it affects so much of the whole body, causes withdrawal of the whole body. So if you don't like withdrawal, don't take Kratom, because you will suffer from a severe withdrawal from Kratom. Now, at this point, I've taken just about every strain. I've tried dozens of different manufacturers or companies, and I do have a lot of different opinions on those, but again, that's for another time. I will just briefly say reds are for analgesic effects, which means pain relief. Greens are for euphoria, and whites are for energy. A lot of people think that the strains are BS, but in reality, what the strain is the vein of the leaf. That's the coloring. As it dries, it becomes either red or green or a little white tint or like gold or yellow, okay? So all these new strains coming out, they're not real. It's just different mixes, and it's BS, guys. But red, green, and white. But for me, I will tell you that a gold Bali is one of the most effective strains of Kratom, okay? Now, guys, this video has become long enough. I don't want these to be very long. I want you to be able to watch it, take something away from it, and then choose to watch another video when you have time. So please, if you found this information helpful or beneficial, leave a comment and let me know how you want this video series to continue. What part of everything that I've just discussed would you like to hear more of? Okay, so that is my intro to the potential dangers, the adverse side effects of long-term Kratom use, okay? So again, my name is Adam. This is Healing Together, but you can also cross-link my other channel, which is Coach Hard Gains with a Z. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.